Robert Redford is Hollywood royalty. He starred in many iconic movies like The Way We Are, Jeremiah Johnson, and The Great Gatsby. Aside from his acting career, he's also amazing at directing and producing. After a lengthy and successful career, however, Robert Redford announced his retirement from acting. This was in 2018 after his final film, The Old Man and the Gun, was released. In this video, we're going to take a look at 15 little-known facts about Robert Redford's career. Make sure you stick around until the end of the video to learn about why Robert Redford came out of retirement and appeared in a new film. Facts First presents, This is Why Robert Redford Came Out of Retirement, and 14 other facts. If you're a Robert Redford fan and would like to see him come out of retirement, hit the like button. And for more videos like this, support the channel by clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified about our future videos. Robert Redford had polio as a child. Although polio is no longer a big issue for most of the world, it was, however, still an issue during the 1930s and 40s. Robert Redford caught the disease at age 11. Luckily for him, he only had a mild case of the disease. Decades later, his personal experience with polio had led him to direct a short documentary that focuses on Salk Institute for Biological Studies in San Diego, California. According to a report done by Express, the short documentary is Redford's way of paying homage to Jonas Salk, the scientist who developed the first vaccine for the polio disease. He had several run-ins with the law as a teen. According to an interview done in 1980 by Success magazine, Robert Redford has admitted he ran into a few problems with the law as a young teenager. His problems with the law were nothing serious and are mostly petty crimes. His crimes involved things like stealing hubcaps and trespassing onto private property, specifically his neighbors, to swim in their private pool while they were away. Thankfully, his crimes were petty crimes, otherwise we wouldn't have gotten to see his career bloom to what it is now. He was a terrible student and terrible at jobs. In a 1980 Rolling Stone magazine interview, he mentioned that his wandering mind kept him from doing well in class. He always tried to find an excuse to get out of class. He would make up excuses like going to the bathroom, having a stomachache, or even forgetting to call home. Once he was out of class, instead of doing what he said he was going to do, he instead would walk around the schoolyard before heading back to class. Although Redford attended the University of Colorado on a baseball scholarship, he began drinking heavily in college, which cost him his scholarship. In another interview done by Success magazine in 1980, he also mentioned he couldn't keep a job. He got fired working as a box boy for a supermarket, and got fired again on his next job that he got with the help of his father's friend in an oil company. I guess this series of failures can be seen as a blessing. If he had done well in school or in any of his past jobs, he wouldn't have been as successful as he is now in the film industry. Trained as a painter before switching to acting. Redford traveled to Europe to study art after he left college for a brief period of time. He lived in France, Spain, and Italy. After returning from Europe, Redford enrolled in Pratt Institute in Brooklyn where he studied painting. He later decided to switch his career choice from being a painter to becoming an actor instead. He realized he might not be skilled enough to be a painter. It was in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts where Redford studied acting to fulfill his dream of becoming an actor. And everything else is history. His debut as a director won him Oscars. Redford began his career as a director in 1980 during the peak of his acting career. His first film as a director was Ordinary People in the 1980s. The film earned the Academy Award for Best Film and the Best Director Award for him. On top of that, the film also won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor, bringing 4 Oscars in total, which is an amazing accomplishment to have as a director. Paul Newman changed his life. According to Robert Redford, Paul Newman played a big role in landing him the role of Sundance Kid in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1968. The movie garnered huge success and made Redford into a major star. Paul Newman had made sure Redford got the role even though the studio wanted to give the role to a big-name actor instead, having in mind someone like Steve McQueen to take on the role of the Sundance Kid. Having to work together on the film, Redford and Newman had developed their friendship into greater heights. Then in 1973, Redford returned the favor by insisting to a studio he was working with to cast Newman in a movie called The Sting. Even though the studio was reluctant to hire Newman due to the fact that recent films he starred in hadn't been doing well in the box office, they decided to hire him. The film was hugely successful and nominated for 10 Oscars, winning 7 of the 10 nominations. If you're enjoying the video so far, hit the like button for more videos like this. Losing his firstborn child. Despite having a very successful career in the film industry, Redford takes pride in raising his children. He views raising children as his greatest achievement. One of the greatest tragedies that happened in Redford's life was losing his firstborn child that he had with his first wife, Lola. Born in 1959, Scott Redford was only 5 months old when he lost his life due to sudden infant death syndrome. The incident was devastating for Redford, but instead of showing too much emotion about it, he chose to channel his grief into his acting. He believes in mentoring. Inspired by how Paul Newman had brought his career into greater heights, Redford cast an almost unknown actor who has now grown into an A-list celebrity, Brad Pitt, for his third directed film, A River Runs Through It. This helped launch Pitt's acting career. In 1990, he also cast a young actress named Scarlett Johansson for the movie The Horse Whisperer. Many years later, both of them reunited on the big screen for the movie Captain America: Winter Soldier. His belief in mentoring had also led him to set up Sundance Films Institute, which helps foster emerging film talents. Since the founding of his film institute, Sundance Films Institute has produced amazing talents. Well-known filmmakers like Steven Soderbergh, P.T. Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, and Wes Anderson all started off from Sundance Institute. He has strong loyalty. Maybe it's because of his baseball background and training during his college days, but Redford loves to work with the same team in movies over and over again. Sidney Pollack, who is a well-known director and a close friend of Redford's, directed 7 of Redford's movies. He worked with George Roy Hill on 3 different movies, who's also the director of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Michael Ritchie on 2 movies, and of course Paul Newman, whom he worked with twice on the 2 biggest films of their careers, The Sting and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He tried to get Paul Newman to work with him again on a 3rd film, but Newman's poor health wouldn't let him do so. Only been nominated once for an Academy Award as an actor. Despite being a legend and one of the most famous actors of his generation, Redford has only been nominated for an Academy Award in the acting category once. He was nominated as Best Actor for the movie The Sting. Every other Academy Award nomination that he got was for directing, Quiz Show, Ordinary People, and producing, Quiz Show. The shocking thing here is that even though he has an impressive career in the film industry, the only film that ever won him an Oscar was Ordinary People. It's crazy to think that with such a huge catalog of films, he only has 1 Oscar. You would think he'd have a ton of Oscars lying around his house. Awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 2016, Redford was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama, together with other A-list celebrity actors like Robert De Niro, Tom Hanks, Cicely Tyson, and other famous actors. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is one of the 2 highest civilian honors in the United States. It's given out to people who had made significant contributions to the security or national interests of America, world peace, and other significant public or private endeavors. With Redford's impact on the independent film world culturally and creatively through his film institute, Sundance Institute, receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom is an honor that's well-deserved for Redford. A huge environmental activist. Redford's environmental activism passion grew when he was 11, where he had a summer job at Yosemite National Park. During that summer job, he became aware of how important the environment is. While working for Yosemite National Park, he was able to see the environment around him erode firsthand. Redford played a big role in setting up the Institute for Resource Management, which is a nonprofit institute that teaches resource management best practices. He also co-founded the Redford Center, which produces and funds environmental filmmaking documentaries. Aside from that, he's also very vocal about environmental issues like the Keystone XL pipeline and the Dakota Access Pipeline protests. He also hosted the Greenhouse Glasnost event, which brings Soviet and American scientists together to discuss climate change. Married in Vegas. Robert Redford had a secret wedding ceremony with his first wife, Lola Van Wagenen, in Las Vegas, Nevada on August 9, 1958. He later had a proper wedding with his wife on September 12th in his wife's grandmother's home. They later had 4 children together: Scott Anthony Redford, Shauna Jean Redford, David James Redford, and Amy Hart Redford. Unfortunately, their marriage did not last forever, as Lola and Redford divorced in 1985. An elite in the film industry. Robert Redford is an elite in the film industry, a legend and perhaps one of the best his generation has ever produced. Redford is one of 2 people in history to have won an Academy Award for Best Picture as a director, Ordinary People, while also acting in a film that had won the same Academy Award honor, The Sting, Out of Africa. The other person who has accomplished the same feat in history is Laurence Olivier, whom Redford had worked alongside for a film called A Bridge Too Far. Coming out of retirement again. In August 2018, after 60 years of acting, Robert Redford announced he was retiring after the shooting of a drama called The Old Man and the Gun was complete. However, he changed his stance slightly after the drama was released in September 2018. He had told the New York Times he was not that interested in retiring since he was just moving on into newer territory. If I were to interpret what he said, he was basically saying his focus is somewhere else at the moment. Unfortunately for Redford fans, ever since then, there wasn't any news from him that confirmed whether he's coming out of retirement. In recent news, however, reported by AP News, his grandson Dylan Redford had managed to convince Redford to come out of retirement momentarily. Redford will be starring in a film called Omniboat, a fast boat fantasia, which was released on January 26, 2020. Redford's grandson had contributed a lot in the creation of the film, so if you haven't seen the film yet and you're a Redford fan, you should check the film out. That wraps up our list of Robert Redford facts. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think this is the last time Robert Redford will come out of retirement? Let us know in the comments. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell.